Good morning and welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Wednesday, July 29th. Let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps, which are now lower. We're down 0.06%. It's fractionally lower, but we were higher. We were up like 0.2% higher, so there has been a bit of a pullback, and that's really due to the latest stuff going on in the Middle East. But today we get the FOMC rate decision, we got a really busy slate of corporate earnings announcements from big tech. Now, in the Middle East, tensions have, jumped. Iran, reportedly has violated the unofficial ceasefire by launching an attack on U.S. targets. Now, this is creating geopolitical uncertainty, of course. And guess what? President Trump just came out and he said, we're going to be hitting Iran hard. So that causes the negative activity. Once he said that, you saw the S&Ps pull back. If financial stocks are, seeing some gains this morning, which is good. I mean, we do have the Fed announcement today, so they're trading a little higher. A lot of that is due to earnings in Europe on bank companies. Here's another one. Came out late yesterday. The Trump administration is pushing to end that subsidy program that helped hold down premiums for Medicare drug plans. In economic news, it's all about the Fed announcement this afternoon, along with the Fed chair's press conference. In corporate news, a former Morgan Stanley employee, we'll call him a whistleblower. He's alleging that mortgage bankers were being pressured by the bank to approve loans for large clients. Morgan Stanley obviously denies this, but there could be something more to this story. We'll have to wait and see. What else? We have Jersey Mike's JMKE set to go public, $8 billion valuation. UBS announced a $3 billion share repurchasing program. Let's talk about earnings. On the earnings fund, we got shares of Cheesecake Factory, CAKE, Ford, Mondelez, STX, and JCI all moving higher, while Humana, Vertex, Visa, Clack are all trading lower this morning. After the bell, this is the big day. We got earnings announcements coming out from Microsoft, Meta, Lam Research, ARM Semiconductor, Qualcomm, Starbucks, Robinhood. And then tomorrow morning, you got earnings coming out from MasterCard, Budweiser, SNY, VLO, RAC, Race, CI, Cigna, and LabCorp, LH. So, yeah, busy slate for earnings. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the European markets and see what we see here. The DAX is now positive. We get the DAX up 0.34%. It's 86 points. It was lower. It was flat to lower. Technology shares continue to underperform. But we are seeing a gain in the DAX this morning. The FTSE's higher by 32 points, or 0.3%. I mean, it's supported by stronger corporate earnings and strength in energy shares. The CAC, on the other hand, is lower by 0.5%. It's given back the earlier advance that it saw that was fueled by corporate earnings at the open. The rally faded, with renewed caution on technology shares. And I see some of the big healthcare names, are trading mixed to lower. And then we look over at the Asian markets last night, and the Nikkei fell 1.49%, weighed down by continued weakness in tech shares. It's about the lofty, valuations in these stocks. And financial stocks also kind of underperformed ahead of the BOJ announcement. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng finished higher by 1.96%, supported by improved sentiment on tech stocks and continued optimism surrounding the IPO pipeline. In China, the Shanghai finished up 0.4%. It erased early morning losses, and you really saw a rotation into defensive sectors like real estate and consumer staples, offsetting the weakness in semiconductors. Then we're turning our attention over to oil, and oil just is popping this morning. We got WTI at $42.99. That's up 4.71%. You got Brent at $88.22, up 4.91%. I mean, the fact of the matter is, Iran rejected the Omani brokered proposal to resume normalized shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. They want it all for themselves. They don't want to share in anything. Then Iran launched a ballistic missile attack on U.S. bases in the region. So that caused prices to spike. We saw, oil prices pop 4% after that, pull down to 3%. Then Trump came out there this morning and he said that he's going to retaliate. I mean, that caused oil prices to get even higher, and that's why you're seeing oil prices up 4.86% for WTI and 5.15 for Brent. API estimates, oil inventories declined 3.3 million barrels last week. You got the EIA data coming out later this morning. Let's move on into earnings, and let's talk about Visa, ticker V. Listen, the stock's getting hit this morning. It's down 2.19%, but they beat by 9 cents on higher revenue. Then you got Mondelez, MDLZ. That stock's higher by 0.93%. They beat by 5 cents on higher revenue. And let's not forget about Ford Motor Company, ticker F. That's up 4.28%. They beat by 7 cents on higher revenue. That's all positive. Upcoming after the bell, Microsoft is a big one. Listen, it's set for a $190 billion swing in market valuation after these earnings are announced. EPS is $4.21. Expected move. Where's the expected move for this one? Expected move is 7.21%. Wow, that's like $28. Then we have Meta. EPS is $7.13. Expected move is 8.30%. You get Starbucks. EPS is 66 cents. Expected move is 6.21%. A lot of good earnings. And then, in terms of, economic events, really, it's about the FOMC meeting. But we also at 10:30 you got the EIA oil inventory report. 2 o'clock is the FOMC monetary policy statement. Then at 2:30 you got Fed Chair Kevin Walsh's press conference. Remember, he's going to be tight-lipped. He doesn't want to forecast. He wants to be vague, intentionally vague. So we're not expecting to really get any insights from him, but we'll have to take a look at the statement. It's going to be, a lot less wordy than past statements, but Kevin Walsh, press conference, 2:30 p.m. That's going to be on tap today. In terms of the FANG stocks, B of A is expecting a faster upgrade cycle from Apple due to their new leasing program. Remember, they came out with a new leasing program, leasing options for iPhones, iPads, Macs, and what have you. And yeah, that could lead to a faster upgrade cycle, if that does indeed take place. Meta earnings are out after the bell. Here's the issue. Meta's executives have stated that it's going to need to raise hundreds of billions of dollars to support its AI build-outs. Whew, that's got to be a little scary. That's a little scary. You don't want to be, they're paying up on the interest rates on, for these loans. Microsoft, UK regulators are prohibiting Microsoft on whether customers were misled about Microsoft 365 subscription options. Remember, earnings out after the bell. NVIDIA's, China's moonshot seeks to get access to more NVIDIA Blackwell chips ahead of its new model release. And Caterpillar, Big Cat, CAT, getting hit this morning on the back of questions of whether the hyperscaler build-out has legs to continue or not. In terms of guidance news, Visa sees fourth quarter revenue growth at the high end of low double digits. Crane, ticker CR, Charlie Richards sees full year 2026 adjusted EPS $6.85 to $7.05. Street estimates at $6.82. That's an uptick. JCI, Johnson Controls, raised their full year 2026 adjusted EPS to $5.05. Street estimates at $4.90. That's a definite uptick. In terms of buyback news, UBS announced a $3 billion share repurchasing program. And Skyworks, SWKS, they announced a new $2 billion share repurchasing program. So a lot of buy works in the works. Okay, now we're going to move on to our pick of the day. This is where we come up with an idea where we look to make at least 1% on the stock trade. Once you get the 1%, you're supposed to be, we advise you to walk away. But today's pick of the day is Silicon Motion Technology, SIMO. Sam, India, Michael Oscar. Earnings are out after the bell. EPS is $2.13. Expected move is 27.17%. Now, you look at yesterday's call volume, 6,105 calls versus 1,713 puts. That's a 0.28 put-to-call ratio. Open interest elevated as well. You get 23,372 on the call side versus 12,028 on the put side. That's not 2-to-1, but it's close. Major brokers like the stock. They're raising price targets. But for me to get in on the stock, I am looking for a discount. I got to tell you, I'm hoping to get in I'm going to say 221.50 area. I mean, it could fall beneath that, but actually, the stock's 220 to 221 right now, so I'll say 220.50 is a fair price, because if you can get in at 221.50, I think the opportunity here is there, and we could see we could see the stock pulling out some gains. So 220.50 is the entry price for the stock. SIMO, Sam India, Michael Oscar, that's our pick of the day. It's an earnings play, earnings out after the bell. Okay, let's talk about the news in the tape in the last 15, 20 minutes or so. Corning GLW removed from the Bank of America's US 1 list. Trump to Fox News. We will a response. We're going to be hitting Iran hard. Let's see. Ford's up 7%. It jumped up to 70. Now it's up less than that. But Citi upgrades the shares. Houthis are considering fees for shipping sailing through the Red Sea. They're not, the Houthis aren't a country. They just took over part of Yemen, but they're not even a country. I don't see how that is going to actually fly. Seagate STX sees a full year 2027 CapEx at 4 to 6% of revenue. Humana beat Wall Street's estimate for the second quarter earnings, but that healthcare news from Trump is kind of really weighing down shares today in that space. That's all I'm seeing this morning. Okay, now we're going to move on to yesterday's pick of the day. Yesterday we went with Unum Group, ticker UNM, Uncle Nancy Michael. Now, you look at the stock yesterday, it opened up at 86.77, and then it fell down to 86.72, just a nickel, 5 cents, but it closed at 87.93. So it actually traded higher than that. So the 1% was there yesterday, and that's what we're looking for. So, once you get that 1% gain, take it and walk away. And Unum Group was a winner ahead of their earnings release, so you got to be happy with that. All right, traders, that concludes today's podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green today.